hope you're excited to take your introductory flight today. We're just going to take a brief moment to talk about some of the safety precautions and basic operations of the flight controls and the flight instruments. So let's go. Always make sure when you're on the ramp, you're escorted by an authorized person. Always make sure to stay clear of the propeller. We always want to assume the airplane is about to start, and there are going to be a lot of situations where a pilot may not be able to see directly in front of him if somebody were in the way, and we walking by may not be able to see if somebody is in the airplane about to start. Before every flight, the pilot is responsible for pre-flighting the aircraft, which is basically doing a walk around and checking a bunch of different items, and one of them includes checking the oil, which looks good here. Pilots never trust their fuel gauges. We always visually check the fuel. We drain fuel from the bottom of the tank to make sure there's no contamination or water in the fuel. You would see a clear separation of water if there was. We always visually inspect the tires and the brakes just for wear and proper amount of brake there. With the aid of a checklist, we inspect the entire airframe of the aircraft, just looking for any damage or anything that could potentially cause an issue in flight. You want to make sure your seatbelt is securely fastened for the flight and for taxiing the aircraft. In the event of an emergency where you are instructed by the pilot to undo it, or when the flight is over and you have permission from the pilot to undo the seatbelt, you just take it off like that. Airplane doors are very temperamental, so always just let your pilot open and shut the door. They'll take care of that. Your pilot will supply you with a headset. This is going to allow you to talk and hear freely in flight. Breaker. It's very important to make sure we have what's called a sterile flight deck for critical phases of flight. This basically means no unnecessary conversation for taxi, takeoff, and landing as the pilot is trying to concentrate on talking to air traffic control and maneuvering the aircraft. In the rare event that you start to feel sick or queasy, the pilot will generally have a sick sack in case you do feel the need to have to throw up, and a towel. Just make sure you throw up into this. When entering a low-wing aircraft, you have to be very careful where you step. As you can see here, we have these black designated areas to step on, and I'm just going to use those to enter the aircraft. Some airplanes like this RV-12 use a stick instead of a yoke. As you can see here, the stick here is going to control our elevator, which is how we control the pitch of the aircraft. And if you can see the left to right movement, that controls our aileron, which controls the bank of the aircraft.
Pulling back on the yoke moves the elevator up, which forces the tail down and the nose of the airplane up. Pushing forward on the yoke will push the elevator down, which forces the tail up and the nose down. Moving the rudder pedals moves the nose wheel steering and the rudder surfaces.
And remember, it's very important during critical phases of flight to keep unessential conversation to a minimum. Clear!